Hey everyone, welcome back to the Monday Drive. Thank you guys for tuning in. We are continuing our Mission Partner series. So each week we're getting with a different mission partner, getting to know them, know their ministry, know their family, what they do, what challenges, and where they've seen God kind of show up in those challenges. And so this week we have Kevin and Jenni from Belgium. And so we are excited to dive in with you guys. So thank you guys for being here.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having us.
Yeah. So first things first, we need to figure out where on a globe is Belgium for us that might not know. And I want to know how many hours is the difference?
Ooh, on the globe, because it's so small, it's very hard to find. I think you have to go to Western Europe.
Okay.
So usually people will kind of understand like, oh, France, Germany.
Yep.
It's kind of right there in the middle, a little dot. People kind of overlook it. You're like, oh yeah, well, we'll go Netherlands, France, and then Germany. Right there in the middle, you'll see a little dot that's Belgium.
Hidden gem.
Yeah, it really is. It really is.
And how many hours difference is that for you guys?
It's 6 hours
6
from
hours
here.
from
Like, so Eastern to Belgium time is 6 hour difference.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I've been trying to figure out with each mission partner, how many flights did you have to get on to get to here? What did that look like?
Minimum 2.
Minimum 2?
Yeah. We had one time that we were able to get a direct flight, but post-COVID, bankrupt airline. So it doesn't exist anymore.
And that was not even from Belgium. That was from Germany. So we had to travel to Germany then to take the flight here.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, give us kind of an intro, who you guys are, your family, your ministry, for those that are listening that might not know. Tell us about you guys.
All right, Jenni, would you like to introduce our family?
Yeah. So I'm Jenni. That's Kevin. We've got 2 small kids. Yoa is 4.5 and Ella is 3. That's us.
Yeah, we live in a city called Genk, Belgium, which is on the east side of the country. We've been there since 2016 with a little break for our 6-month furlough when we came and found out about Fort Myers and Riverside and everything going on here. So we'd have to do that every 5 years. But since then, we live in this beautiful little country in Belgium.
And tell us a little bit about, so the ministry as a whole, kind of 30,000 feet. We'll dive in a little bit, but 30,000 feet, what are you guys doing in Belgium?
So the idea of SportQuest as our ministry, because we serve with them, is really to partner with local churches, Christian organizations, to help them to reach out to their community, really. And we use the language of sport and play to do so. So, and really in general, we're looking for partners to come alongside of us. They provide the logistics, and we provide the people. So we usually come with teams of young adults that come and do either a sport camp or a sport outreach in their community, and just try to build relationships. Since churches are so small, it is just very difficult for them to focus on anything else than themselves. But this is just a small way for them to see who's in our community, and let's just go engage with them. Yeah.
And I know we've talked a lot about this, but tell us kind of a little bit of the state of faith in Belgium. Is it super Christian? Is it not? Like, tell us the kind of the state of the culture right now.
Yeah, that's a great question, because Belgium for the longest time has been a Catholic nation, also through, many conquerings, the Spanish, the Romans, everything. Catholic faith is definitely the number one faith in Belgium still, but we definitely are in a post-Christian world. So a lot of people still will understand a little bit, maybe there's a Catholic school or something, will know a little bit about the Bible, but it's very nominal. And the church in general is very old, so like 60 years and older or something like that, or people who are that age. But then you see like a new generation of just really like secularism, or, people that just don't have a concept of what it is. But then you have like that 1% of the population that are, Protestant Christian or evangelical Christian, as we would say, that, we kind of are a part of. So we got to think like, well, we're the 1%, and everybody else is the 99% that are basically non-Christian or just don't really know what they believe in.
Yeah. Wow. And as you guys have launched there, you got the ministry, you guys are doing sport camps. Tell us how did that even start? So go back before you're even involved with SportQuest. How do you guys go from just Kevin and Jenni hanging out, following Jesus, trying to figure this out, or maybe not following Jesus, to now you're leading this ministry? How did that happen?
Man, that's a long story. I think actually we should start with with Ken Shishud. Ken is the president of our ministry, and for the longest time he was in charge of an organization that would send American athletes to Europe to do these big tournaments, big money kind of a thing, but very secular as well. And he came to the point one time he was in Belgium eating a waffle in Antwerp kind of a thing. He just kind of felt like the Holy Spirit came over him and the Lord kind of spoke to him. You're going to bring Christian athletes to this nation. He quit his job right away, went back to his old Christian high school basketball coach and started a nonprofit, which is now called SportQuest. And then years later, I'm just a kid, non-Christian kid who loved basketball with all my heart. And I found out that there was a free camp coming to our city led by American athletes. And Matt, that Americans are the best at basketball. So I had to be there.
I didn't say it.
Well, I'll say it. That's fine. No, but they were going to bring a team and they were going to do like a full week camp that was free. Being a poor Christian basketball player, I was like, that's where I got to be. I'm going to check it out. I was very skeptical. But they were there. And the thing was, it was so cool to see that it wasn't really about basketball. Like the first day you try to prove yourself to them, but then you start digging into the relationship and they're just sharing their faith. You start seeing their identity in Christ. And it was so contagious that I'm like, I want this, like how can I do this? So I gave my life to Christ. It was really exciting. And over time, like, hey, I want more. Okay, well, join one of our camps again, or like join a leadership team and being mentored in this. And then in 2010, they actually invited me to do an internship in their headquarters in Indianapolis, Indiana. And I actually turned down a really nice job offer. Raised some money to come. Maybe I had like $1,000 in my pocket, and I decided to follow, God's will in my life, and met this beautiful lady right here, and
one year turned into 5.
Yeah, and then we start going into actually, Jenni, maybe you can take it from here. Like the Lord speaking to you in Belgium.
Yeah. So we met in 2010, got married in 2011, and then just he stayed as SportQuest staff, more in office role, and then traveling and doing the projects in the summer, and then in 2013. After the summer projects in Belgium, we stayed an extra week to visit with his friends and family, and because we only would see them then during the summer. And I actually am the one who got the calling, which is a bit, strange. It's God. It was the only way that it was going to happen, was coming through me, I guess. Moving to Belgium was never on the radar. So at a train station in Belgium, like a full body coming over me experience, like you're moving to Belgium and this is the 4-year plan. I got this is going to happen that year, that year. And this is it. 2013. And then it took us till 2016 to get there.
Yeah, and originally the idea was just join the Belgian crew. Like we had about 4 other American staff members in Belgium doing the projects and everything. And then I got there, and within the first year, they all left. So I was there was one other girl, and then and they said okay, well, you're going to be the new SportQuest Belgium coordinator. I'm like, okay, I was here for the team, but there's no more team, but I will gladly do it. I feel ready to take this role. And then over time, you saw more and more, mostly Belgians, then get involved with this kind of movement. And it's been really cool to see how the Lord has kind of been faithfully, just growing that step by step, and especially in a very tough environment, knowing that there's not so many Christians there.
Yeah. Wow. I love hearing the just the journey that you guys kind of went on. I love, you are a product of this camp, and now you get to lead this for others, which is super cool. Yeah. And then to hear that the Lord spoke to you, I get that because I feel like the Lord speaks to my wife quite often. So it's just
I'm listening, man.
Yeah. Yes, Lord. It's so cool just to hear how you guys stepped out in obedience and took one small step, and then eventually a big one, right? To go over there. So as you guys are over there, anytime you're on the mission field, whether you're in the States, you're in Belgium, you're in Togo, any of these other places, there's challenges. There's different things that you guys are walking through and navigating, and there's uncertainty. What are some of the the challenges that you guys face day in, day out, week in, week out? What are some of the big challenges that you guys wrestle through?
Well, it's constantly having to constantly is a big word, but like the idea of constantly having to start over with something. Like you have, like I'll just use like exhibit, like there's a boy, 12-year-old coming to our camp. You have them for a whole week. He's super excited. We're teaching them about Christ. We're building a great relationship. And then throughout the year, obviously school starts and there are sport clubs and everything. And you see them like going farther away again. So you build something up. And even though you do reunions, you do follow-ups and everything you try to do in a large area, because Flanders is not small to just like, hey, it's not like your neighborhood church kind of a thing.
Yeah.
But then you see, because of the influence of their friends again, the next year they come again and you basically have to start over. It is a very tough challenge, like constantly like, well, you put your hope again, like, hey, Christ still wants you, man. He loves you. The gospel has been shared with you like 7 times, but like it's still available.
Yeah.
But it's for them to be so cross-cultural, to say like, hey, I'm going to say no to my friends and to my teammates or whatever, my family sometimes, and go across cultural and say, I'm going to go for Christ. It is such a tough challenge. It was tough for me, but I felt like this was like, I'm never going to walk away from this, because it felt like something that was so real. And every year again, we have people that say like, whatever the challenge is, we'll go with this and we're going to stick through it. But then there's, for every one that we might have 9 or more that just turn the other way again. And that's a little disappointing.
Yeah.
And what he means by cross-cultural is what a lot of people also won't realize is there's 1% of Belgians are Protestant Christian. And so it's these kids that come to our camps who are the only one in their school, potentially. He was the only one in his school. And so it literally is following Jesus is literally turning your back on everything in the world. I mean, that is everywhere anyway, but there's no support system or just a very small support system for youth then, where like the relationship and the impact and the influence comes from your friends and your peers to then decide and literally do like a 180 against everything and everyone that you know is cross-cultural.
Yeah.
That's what he's talking about.
Yeah. It's, I think we're starting to get some taste of that in the States of the post-Christian world and how countercultural Christianity is.
Yeah.
But when I hear stories from you guys and some other areas around the world, it's interesting to think about the cost has always been die to yourself, right? And carry your cross, pick it up daily, but in some areas that's a little more tangible. It's like, no, really, you're going to have to turn away from everything, So, man, that's a tough world to live in.
And it can be discouraging, but you're still proclaiming Jesus, and that's the thing. Like when you start talking about Jesus with the people that potentially will turn back for 10, 15, 20 times, you see them every year again with that same heart and same desire to give them everything. Still, Jesus, does amazing things every year again. So we'll never give up. It's our heart, it's our calling. But it's going to be frustrating, and that's okay. But I rather, and this is something I noticed between Belgium and America. Sometimes I felt like I was a little too much on cruise control when I was in America, because I felt like I was surrounded by such a great group of people that could support you, that could give into you, that can pour into you. And in Belgium, like if you're not the one giving, they're not going to receive. So there's a little bit more of like, there's a conviction to your purpose there. Like you got to do it or else they will not. And it motivates so hard.
Yeah. It's cool because you guys realize you're in the mission world. Like you're on a mission field, right? Because there's so few Christians. I think over here, like we have a sign on the way out of Sunday. It says, now entering your mission field.
Oh, that's
because
cool.
it's like a reminder for us that like Sunday is a time we get to gather and celebrate. It's great. But Monday through Saturday, like you're on a mission field. And I think sometimes, I know I forget that and take that for granted a little bit of my day-to-day life, just surrounded by my Christian friends or my family or whatever, right? Yeah. And so you guys don't really have that. You guys are like, no, I know I'm in a post-Christian world. Yeah. And I know I'm on mission, like this is real,
Yeah.
Or you build walls that are tall enough to protect yourself from those outside. You can still have that Christian community.
Yeah.
It's just smaller.
Yep.
And you have to protect it a little bit more if you feel like, hey, like this is what we want to do. But the mission field is real. It's going to be right outside the door. But yeah, it's that small person complex a little bit. Like, do you dare to go face those giants when you step out of this door?
Yeah.
And sometimes in America, you feel like, wow, we are strong together. We're going to do this. And in Belgium, like this is why we feel kingdom culture. Like we create a network of people that all strive for that one culture, because united we're so much stronger. And SportQuest is one of those only networks that really has that. And it's really neat to be a part of that and seeing like young Christians in Belgium take a stand for that. Like I'm not going to be swayed or moved away from this, even though it sometimes feels like, hey, I'm the only one in my club or in my school or whatever, but they'll find their community again.
Yeah. It's awesome.
Yeah.
So you guys have challenges. Everybody has challenges. You guys are in a tough environment to fight for faith and to help people kind of see that. What are some of the win stories? What has God been doing through the ministry, through sports, through you guys, your family? What's he been up to?
So, like I was thinking about this because we're kind of like, man, there's so many little stories, right? It's not like, hey, we planted 100 churches or we seen hundreds of people come to faith every year. It's just not like that. But I'll tell you the story about a new location that we went to this past summer. The city is called Maldegem, and the church really their intent was. Because they are all people coming in from outside the city into this church building, because that's where they found the building, which is also interesting. But anyway, they just wanted to get to know their community. So I'm like, okay, we're there with 6 people, and we go to the sports field that they wanted to reach out to on a Sunday for a prayer walk. So we're walking around. We don't see many kids, but one of our team members, like, hey, he sees this kid with a Club Rouge, like a local soccer club ball. Like, hey, I'm a big fan of Club Rouge. Want to play together? This 11-year-old kind of geeky-looking kid, but still like, hey, we want to play together. Like, end up playing with this kid for 2 hours. Just kicking the ball and just getting to know who he is. And it's kind of funny. Like about an hour and a half in, like his mom comes and she's like all worried. Like he's like, I don't know where you were. I'm like she was really worried. So we have like 3 girls on the team, and they just take care of this mom. They start talking to this mom. We're ending up there for an hour and a half more. Wow. Like, so it's dark. Okay, we got to go. We'll be here all week. So this kid is named Robbe, and mom is named Kim. And throughout the whole week, they're the only kid, only kid that came the whole week. Every day they were there, and they would bring us like some snacks and stuff. But the mom was in tears one day saying like, well, like my son gets bullied every day for his appearance. And, he's never found a place that he can feel like he belongs, that he feels appreciated for who he is. And it's such a burden on me as a mom. So the girls are praying over her. And then this kid is just like super excited that he's getting the love that they're from a broken family, so he doesn't get that as much at home or only from one person. And throughout the week, you see this kid, just completely in his element. And the funny thing is, it starts with sports, but then throughout the week we're in small groups. We're opening the Bible, we're seeing where he's at, and he's like sharing stories that like this is like 11-year-old kid not going to a Christian school. He's talking about Moses. He's talking about Jesus. I'm like, all these stories, and we were able to kind of pour onto that. Just kind of going to the last day of camp. So we do SportQuest night where we invite the church, all their members, and then the people that we've met throughout the week. And it's kind of discouraging, but the only people that came from the city were those 2 people, Kim and Robbe. So, and we've met many people, but okay, I don't think they were ready maybe to step into the church door, but Robbe and Kim were there.
Cool.
And we honored them and blessed them for an entire week. We gave them shirts, and the smiles on their faces, to know like, hey, this is a community you can be a part of. They were welcomed into the church. They've been since a couple of times. still a little tough. I don't know exactly where they are in their faith journey, but knowing every time we go back to that place, they're waiting for us, just excited to see what we can give for them the next year. So our team from Maldegem this year is already filled because they know of Boba and Kim and what we can give to them. Yeah. And they're like, they don't need to sign up. They are going to be waiting for that team. So this is a really cool, encouraging story. I don't know where they're at with their faith in Jesus, but I know that this was an amazing week for them.
Yeah. The cool thing, so somebody told me this a while back. I don't even know who to give credit for this. I'm sure it's in a book somewhere. But when you're talking about evangelism, instead of just are you saved or not, that kind of thing, but like this -10 to 0 type of thing.
Yeah.
And I love that you guys aren't bothered or annoyed or discouraged with getting somebody from -10 to -7. Like they took steps towards Jesus.
Yeah.
And then maybe next year they go from -7 to -3. Exactly. And then maybe 3 years in, they do come to know Jesus and submit to it. So I love that that you guys are just faithful in the journey. Like it's cool to hear that vision and that version of Kim and her son, like and how that, who knows what'll happen next year,
Right.
Like maybe next year's the year. Like maybe that's it.
I pray for that, and,
awesome.
and maybe it's a different group. Maybe it's the church itself, because we feel like we can only be there for X amount of times because, well, we're in multiple places. Our athletes are coming from all over the country. They're setting aside their time. They are paying for this camp. We're not hiring them to be there. No, they're paying for this.
Wow.
They're investing their time for an opportunity, and they'll keep in touch, and it'll be fine. And we're just excited to see, like, well, Lord, if you give us this gift of salvation for this family, we'll take it. But if you can, like, if we are responsible from -10 to -9 or whatever that may be, Lord, thank you. You are so good for giving us that.
Yep.
That's how we experience it. Because if we're going to look at the 0 line and everything plus, like, man, like we would have really bad quota because everybody's still on the minus side.
Yeah. Yeah. For years, I put a lot of pressure on myself of like, I got to get them to the line, that line. And I think somebody was just reminding me, like, some people water, some people plant,
exactly.
Heart, like, and I know in my own life, you can look back and see, like, man, these people were watering and saw nothing, like no growth in me. And then these people started to see maybe the first sprouting of stuff. And then these people, so it's just interesting even to go back over my own life and be like, okay, it's not all on me, right? Jesus plays a much bigger part than I do. And sometimes I put that on myself, but
and I can understand that completely, because I had, as an American going into the Belgian culture, I had as well that pressure in the beginning, like, what are we going to go back and say, like, after the first year and nobody got baptized?
Sure.
What? How are we going to do that? But it's realizing in the daily life of it all that those small watering moments are the important part. You take a seed, and if you overflow it with water, it can also die.
Yeah.
So you have to small little every few days, every year, just water a seed, and God and the Holy Spirit do the work.
Yeah, it's awesome. What about, so if our church is listening to this, people are like, man, I love that. I love sports, or I love what you guys are doing. I'd love to be involved more. What are ways that they can get engaged, both over there in Belgium, maybe if they go travel over there and join you guys, but also over here? What are some ways that we can partner with you guys?
Well, everything is lining up for a team to come from Riverside this summer. We've really been praying for that kind of partnership where we can bring people from here to Belgium to come and experience what the ministry is like, what the country is like, what the culture is like. And it's looking like the end of July, I think it was like July 28th to the August 6th time frame is what we have kind of set out. But we have a beautiful camp there. The city is called Brakel. They're a long-time SportQuest partner. Mini church, like maybe 25 people, which is really tiny, but kids that have a heart for SportQuest that I want to introduce to Riverside because they have a heart for people. Yeah. So like maybe that's one step, for them to, decide like, hey, I'm going to Belgium. I'm gonna give my all to to give these kids the love that they have, or what we can give, kind of a thing, and just kind of learn and experience that. But then there's so many other things. Maybe Jenni, you can take it from there.
Yeah, so I think aside from not everybody can go, not everybody's athletic for a sport camp, not everybody can physically fly over. And something that we have just experienced through and through is that prayer is the absolute most important. Yeah. Prayer for the campers that come, prayer for the camps, prayer throughout the school year for the follow-up, prayer for us as a family, for encouragement, for praying against any sort of health sicknesses. I've had a lot of health issues in the last year that have kind of hindered me a little bit personally. Prayer for, just opportunity as well, to share the gospel, and for open ears, open hearts to hear and accept. You've got prayer, you have financially as well, is important. Like any missionary, we can't do it if if we don't have the finances to be able to do it, or we can in combination with a part-time job, but then that takes away from the time that we can be like full focused and on the the ministry. Sorry.
Yeah, and I can honestly say, I think we're the only like sports ministry couple who can do this full time based off of support in Belgium. Wow. So you got to think like any other kind of missionary, I would say, like that is in Belgium that has a passion for sport and play, either already has a different side job or is combining this or something. So, just to have the freedom, to say like, hey, I'm fully invested in youth and sport, discipleship, whatever that may look. It's just such an amazing blessing, because it gives us the time also to invest in other young leaders, also going to school or having another job, but that they see this as like a greater purpose for them, and it's just so exciting that I can fully invest in that.
Yeah. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys. Thank y'all a ton. I love y'all's heart for ministry, for your country, and for the kids, and to be able to use sport. I love sport, so of course to be able to use that, I think it's a beautiful platform to be able to share the gospel. So thank you guys for coming.
Thank you.
And thank the rest of y'all for tuning in this week, and tune in next week for another mission partner where we're going to get to hear their heart for what they're doing around the world. Take care.